Got to get some hot tea. I'm losing my voice. Our girls had like colds or whatnot, and I think me and my wife are getting them because we both have little coughs. I'm not that congested in my nose or whatnot, but yeah, sucks. So drinking some. My mom calls this Russian. No, my sister calls it Russian tea. I don't know what type of tea it is. It has tang in it, which sounds disgusting, but it's actually really good. And my grandmother used to make it back in the day, and you know, my sister makes it too. I, I, I had to. I had to do that. I'm just so aggravated when we see this over and over and over again of people who don't do any research. Now, believe it or not, I just recorded that on a live stream offline. I was going to edit it and put in put in floating quotes and whatnot, but I can't download my live streams. It's weird because the option's there, but it's grayed out. Do I have to do the live stream through YouTube? Maybe. Post on YouTube, so maybe that's it. I don't know. Do you do live streams through YouTube? I'm sure you can. I don't know. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, we had to give him something, right? Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I was just sick and tired of that. Sick and tired of that. And just sick and tired of that stuff. And I had found it. Two people had talked to me about it, and someone earlier on one of my live streams had asked me my thoughts for it, and I said I'd talk about it later, and I meant to record it, edit it, and then publish it later. But I was like, oh, you can't download it? What the heck? So I said, okay, I'll just do it live. But that was yeah, shoot, Chris for president. He's much more well spoken and calm. People would like him more. Did you think Disney canon is a hate letter to Star Wars franchise? Well, here's the thing: they wanted to get rid of it because they want to be beholden to it either. But they had a big problem, right? Because there was a lot of people who loved it. But they wanted to just basically take those stories, the same exact stories, same exact plot lines, in fact, change the names of the people a little bit, and come up with the same stuff again. Try to sell you the same thing again. I don't think that was a good business decision. No, no. But I will say this: I don't. If someone wants to read it, I don't have a problem with that. It's not for me. But if someone says, "Oh, Matt, I love the new canon, or I love the new series, or I love the new movies," that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Personally, me, I'm not going to give it a shot because I just don't care about it. The reason I love Star Wars was the books, was the comic, but wasn't even the movie. I love the continuity of the expanded universe more than I like the movies. And when they got rid of that, I was like, okay, I'm done. It wasn't like a rage quit, flip the table thing. I was like, I think I'm done. I mean, if you watch my very early video, I was like, I think I'm done. I was like, because when I just got the news, I was going, I just got the news, and wow, I just don't know. I think I may be done with Star Wars. I'm just like, but I wasn't like, I wasn't hateful or anything. But and from what I've heard, I haven't been impressed with what they have. But to be fair, if someone else likes it, that's just a matter of perspective, right? Of likes and dislikes there. Yeah. Oh well, I mean, at least you gave it a fair shot. Huh. Yes, I did. That's why I did the stream now. It's funny because I hate the Phillies, but I was cheering for the Phillies at the end to come back, and they didn't because I don't want either team to win. It's the first time ever I could not, in good conscience, cheer for anyone. But congratulations to Houston. They did it, and they didn't get caught cheating this time. So good for them. Oh, that's great. The New Joe is great. There you go. Nelson Wilkins. Put Chris first. He's a lot better. Oh, Dylan immediately. Secretary of State. Just because I can call him my secretary. Huh. No. No, my brothers don't. I was talking to my brother about it. We were watching it tonight, and I was thinking, you know what? I said, I don't care. It was like in the fourth inning or something. It was scoreless for like 4 or 5 innings. I turned to him. I was like, you know what? I said, if it could just stay like this forever, I'd be happy. Like they just stop the game because no one can score. And he started laughing. He said, I know what you mean. I said, I kind of want the Phillies to win this game only so there would be a game 7. And then I'll have to figure out who I'm cheering for in game 7. And my brother thought the Phillies could win it. He was talking. Now this is back before the Strohs killed it with 4 runs, and you could tell it was out. It was their pitching was too dominant. But he was thinking that the Phillies won, they'd win it all. Syndergaard would be pitching the next night. Anyway, hello. There you go. Oh, really? It's funny. Oh, geez, I don't know. Well, the first one was just something I wanted to talk about real quick. I felt bad that I had Lance cancel the show. I didn't mean to. I just meant to say, hey, I'm going to go live. What was it, 15 minutes? And that was it. But y'all canceled yours. And I was like, I feel bad now. What do you think what happened to Ben? He went on to become a great Jedi, probably led the council, for a while too. Marcel for attorney. There you go. We'll do it. Brian Borg for Speaker of the House. How's that? Well, it's funny because, Pablo hates the EU now. So he wants to discredit as much as he can. So he's going to downplay Lucas's influence. But Lucas probably did. That's maybe all he said. Lucas gave notes and gave answered yes, no questions for things. Han would die in a blaze of glory in the Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon would go with him because no one else can fly the Millennium Falcon after Han. Luke or Leia, one of them would go peacefully, if not both. Definitely one of them would have to die peacefully. I don't want everyone to die sacrificing themselves. I think he's the great grandfather, right? There's the great. Correct me if I'm wrong. Scott would know this. There's Ben, someone underneath him, Cole Skywalker, and Cade, right? Like we don't know between Cole is the grandson of Ben, right? I don't think Cole is Ben's son. I can't remember right now. Yeah. Secretary of War. Okay, well, I did feel bad. Hello. Well, no, he hasn't. He wrote a book about the expanded universe and glorified it and talked about how great it was, and then turned around and hated it. The reason he got in was because of the EU. He wrote for West End Games, got a job with Lucasfilm, writing EU stuff at first. I don't know. I mean, obviously still alive in Legacy 2. But I probably just went on to have a fun life, married Delilah, had some human hybrid Zeltron kids. That's kind of weird. Luke didn't know who he was. He just saw him in a dream. He didn't know what was going on. Plus, he was badly injured. Who's to say that he just didn't die after their fight with Abeloth? Absolutely. You can look at anything and any quotes and see that. Hello, Alex. There you go. It's funny. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Rothman. I was trying to think of Howard Rothman's name earlier, and I couldn't think of it. Ben, Unknown, Cole, Nate. Okay, good. That's what I thought. Well, Cole and Nate are the same. They're brothers. It's unclear. Okay. I mean, it could be. I'm pretty sure they are. There's only one, the one from New York Order, right? Oh, yeah, definitely. He came with midichlorians. Right, only in flashbacks. Is it a 60-year gap? I mean, okay, so I mean, Cole could be Ben's son. That's true. That's true. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. They wouldn't have done that in the storyline either. Probably so. Not far from the truth, I'm sure. Do you think Star Wars comics could happen after the Legacy comic? Sure. Sure. I could continue the story. I think it's great. I'm going to do a Matt chat on some of it. I've watched each one twice except for the newest one. I've watched it once. I'll watch it again. Those have been great. Are they done now? They ended at 2019. There's 2020 to 2022. That's been a lot of fun. He picked the right person for it. Dylan's great with that. True. It's true. Yeah. But again, second rate information. Second rate information. I'm tired of hearing this is what someone said that George said once. Probably not, right? And most likely not. And by the way, there's the president of the EU, Christopher Nelson. Chris, if you want to join, please go ahead and do so. You're welcome to join. Yeah, but Chris has done some great stuff. That history of the fandom has been so good to watch. I've loved him. I've loved him. Like again, Dylan's excellent. I'm going to do a Matt chat on it because I just think it's been so awesome. So Chris, if you can join and talk about that, and folks, you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. I don't know if he's put that in a playlist yet, but it's definitely worth your time. Least favorite to favorite. I mean, Luke. I don't know. Then Anakin, then Cade, then Ben. Only because Ben didn't get that much in there. Hey, Chris.
Yo, what's up, man? How's it going?
We've been talking nothing but good things about you.
I know. I paid everyone in the chat to do that. So
I'm telling you, you did. No. Did you put? Have you? First off, is there one more? Right.
Well, there's probably at least one more because we've been doing them like by twos, and so
yeah,
we'll probably have to do a whole one, like a fifth one that'll be like on this year, and then so it'll be like 2022, and then going forward, right? Our hopes, our fears, et cetera, et cetera. But you know what I want to do, since people seem to like them, I want to do a bunch of like supplemental ones where we just take one topic or idea or something and just kind of dig into that, or maybe just like interviews even with people. Get people's like oral history, their own EU journey, et cetera, right?
But it's an excellent. I've loved this series. Who had the idea for it again?
It was mine, I think. I don't remember anymore because it started a long time ago.
The one person I need to get in on this is Dylan, who loves numbers. He's a numbers guy.
Yeah. It's funny because it all started like way before we filmed this because I started a spreadsheet of just things, history, activities, and I said, Dylan, take a look at this. And I think the numbers guy in him saw a spreadsheet and then it just aligned perfectly, right? So yeah, we just started filling out the spreadsheet and then realized, hey, let's just do a quick video about this. And after about 2.5 hours, realized we only got through 2 years. And that's how we got the idea to sort of break it up.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah, he couldn't pop a wedge. Remember, Callista dies. There is Nelson there. But yeah, no, those have been just great. Those have been great. Hello, Steve. I'm doing great.
Yeah, thanks. Well, it's really interesting too, because it's amazing how much we forgot, and it took going through that process to remember. And to the extent that so much of this for all of us is like personal history too, it's been just sort of like a helpful little diary. I'll be able to show my kids years from now and be able to show to them, how much time I wasted, at this stage of my life and all this stuff.
No, it's good. Nathan asked a question about top 5, top 10 books. I've done that, a top 10 books, but or as a recommended introduction prior to New Jet Order. I've always said this. I don't know what I want to hear Chris's opinion. I've always said at least read the Bantam novels before reading New Jet Order.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, at least read the Bantam novels. There's a lot of stuff that gets like I never read the West End Game stuff. So when I read New Jet Order again, this time I'm going to know a lot more. I'm going to see more connections than I did the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Because back then I didn't realize that they were referring to so much of everything. They were pulling from everything. Shoot, they're probably still pulling from the video games, and I wouldn't have known it. But what did you think of the Bounding into Oblivion article?
Oh, yeah. What's it called? Bounded into Cock or
A
whatever the
brick
name of the
wall.
website.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
well,
Bumbling
again,
into comics.
I mean that's a site that I tend to avoid. It's a Twitter account that I tend to avoid. Interestingly, I would look. It's all based on this interview by this website, Star Wars Interviews, which is a good resource. And I was actually, I have to say, not to redirect, but I have to say I do have a major bone to pick with the interviewer and the particular interview.
Yeah.
And the way in which so many of these insiders get these stupid questions. I really genuinely feel like a lot of the questions that she was given were designed to elicit these dumb answers. And then create this impression after the fact that she was like in this unique sort of decision-making, position to sort of determine all these things. She wasn't, right? As your last stream proved, and that's something that's a really valuable resource for posterity. There's for everything she said, there's 99 other things that contradict it, right? It's just really frustrating. But I actually, interestingly, reached out to the interviewer on Twitter. I think it must have been yesterday, and I said, look, can we stop asking these insiders these types of questions that get these types of answers? When we all, and I know that the interviewer knows better, right? And knows enough to push back,
Right.
knows enough to write better questions. And they were kind of like, got defensive, understandably, but they're like, no, what are you talking about? I like to do this, whatever. Well, interestingly, that's where Bounding into Comics saw this. So kind of jumped on the thread and just immediately ran with it. And it's like, look, I don't want to make it seem as if I think we should go out of our way to kind of like hide. I mean, look, great. I'm glad we have our opinion now. It's provided an opportunity for us to once again educate people about the truth about the EU. But what a horrible disservice that this person's done, right? It's giving the Bounding into Comics like the right to then write these sorts of things. I mean, what a stupid waste of that person's resources, who's produced a lot of other really great interviews, really great resources. Marcel referenced this in the last stream. Go to StarWarsInterviews.com or whatever it is and look up the L. Neil Smith interview he did. L. Neil Smith ripped Disney a new one about what happened in 2014, right? But he's one of the few people who's taken these bad questions and actually given us something interesting. But again, I've got a real bone to pick with not just the basis for this stupid article, this interview thing, but again, the way that so many people, when they get access to the insiders or the old authors, or whatever, they never ask the interesting questions. They never ask the interesting questions because he also asked Lucy things like, "What do you think about what happened?" And what do they always inevitably say? They're not looking to piss anybody off. They go, "Well, Disney can do whatever they want." How about asking them, "What do you think about the idea of in principle continuing along the parallel path?" They never ask the most basic, obvious questions. Instead, it's the same beat over and over, and predictably it's the same beat with the shill websites that then run with it. It's just infuriating, and it feels to me way too much like 2014, and I've had enough. So that's my rant.
And usually, and you're spot on with everything you said. Usually I just ignore these, but you haven't seen them in so long, and then this comes out. This is someone in authority who heard from George, said this once to secondhand rumors and hearsay. I'm not going to go for. But then obviously the story just turns into a hate letter to the expanded universe that it was never considered canon. And when we said it was going to be Legends, that wasn't us saying it wasn't canon anymore. It was never canon. We just made an announcement to say it wasn't canon because it never was canon. That makes no sense unless, you just don't do hardly any research, which is what happened. And the thing is, the interview fit the narrative that he wanted to put up. He put it up there with zero. I mean, if you do a little bit of research, you search StarWars.com, the 25th anniversary of Dark Empire, where they interviewed Tom Veach, Cam Kennedy, and Archie Goodwin. And all of them are talking about how they contacted George. And she's saying, "Oh, George had nothing to do with that. George never even knew about that." Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I mean, it's so off the mark. And I'm not saying she's a liar. People can forget about things. Shoot, she
Yeah.
probably saw a billion things go by her desk. But when for 25 years, when the expanding universe was, with us for 25 years, that company has we have a billion quotes from them saying this was the official continuation of the story, of the continuity. The only people that used canon was Lucasfilm.
Mm-hmm.
George Lucas never used the word, never used the word. But yet this guy, who is founder and editor in chief, maybe at the end of that video, folks, I knew that already. I was being a smart aleck. This guy thinks, oh man, he is the bee's knees putting this out.
I love, by the way, when people have their own blog basically and they call themselves publisher and editor, and that's kind of like, yeah, right.
Founder, supreme ruler of the galaxy, and editor in chief. Because it looks important, because people use my articles for their own videos, for reference material when they really need to start doing their own independent research.
Right.
And that's the thing. They do it because they like it, but if they do research on it, is the truth going to be there, or is it someone's opinion? I'm not saying Lucy Wilson can have her own opinion, but the fact that it differs from every single narrative we've heard, every single employee we've heard from Lucasfilm at the time, I mean, what are you going to do there? What are you going to do?
I know. And again, I don't know that she's lying, but clearly her facts don't really sort of add up. I think you have to sort of, in good faith, just assume that, like, at this point, this many years later, I mean, she's out of the game. She doesn't understand the context in which she's being asked these questions, doesn't understand the importance, right, that the answers she's going to give are going to sort of mean to, like, this, this ridiculous sort of, like, cottage industry online of shills that are looking for this stuff to sort of reproduce. And again, that's another reason why, again, I just have to go back to the interviewer himself. Big mistake. You've got, with great interviewing responsibility comes great power, and vice versa. But I look, this Bounty in the Comics guy, he doesn't know who Lucy is. Doesn't care, and
doesn't care.
No, absolutely not, right?
I agree with
and it
that.
was, yeah. It's funny too. Look, I don't want to make it. I've said this before. We both said this before, and I don't want to make it seem like we can have our cake and eat it too. But look, here's the thing. Everyone, thankfully, that stream you just did was great. You came out the gate. It was a classic rant. Loved it. Tons of people on Twitter, for instance, were going after that interview or going after this article with all of the facts, right? So I think we pretty much owned the sort of the response to this. That said, here's the cool thing, and here's how we can have our cake and eat it too. We owned them. We've got the facts. We know what canonicity is. We understand Lucasfilm's relationship to this. We understand Lucas and Lucasfilm's relationship to you, et cetera, et cetera. But here's the cool thing. At the end of the day, what Lucas says doesn't matter. Okay, we get to have our cake and eat it too. Not only can we show that Lucas cared about the EU and through his delegation of these responsibilities at Lucasfilm, the EU was canon, et cetera, but at the same time, precisely because Lucasfilm oversaw it, based on all the other quotes that we've had that you've shared, kind of doesn't matter what George thinks. So Lucy can tell us all day long about George. It doesn't matter. It's ultimately what Lucasfilm. So, do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's kind of, that's what's nice about this. And I think that's the quicksand with this stuff. When these types of Bounty in the Comics articles get written, it pulls us into the wrong front in the war. It forces us to waste a lot of capital trying to convince people again about things that they've already made up their mind about. I think the more interesting tactic is to say it doesn't actually matter what George thinks, precisely because of our understanding of how Lucasfilm itself really actually was the one that sort of kept all the wheels on the wagon in this regard. So exactly. That's the sense in which I don't get super hot and bothered about this, but I will agree that this was a particularly egregious one. And that's why I keep doubling down on the interviewer itself. I don't want to see this happen again. If there's anyone out there who has access to insiders, old EU authors, Lucasfilm insiders, licensing department insiders, and you ever get a chance to ask them a question, please ask them good questions. Please understand the context, and please push back when they say something that obviously doesn't comport with the facts that the rest of us in the fandom know.
Exactly. That goes against everything you think. The other thing is, Oh no, I lost it. I just lost it. Had it on the tip of my tongue and I lost it. It's gone. No, I am glad to hear that you said a lot of people on Twitter were calling this out, already calling the article out. There's already educated people. Now, that's great because guess what? Back before I started doing my defense of the EU videos, that type of dialogue was not online.
Right.
Believe me, I was looking for fans to come flying in with all the quotes. I thought everyone was like me. Yeah. Chris is when is he not spot on? Stig, but yes, it's correct. But anyway, back in the day, I did these videos because I didn't see anyone else commenting against this false narrative that, oh, it was never in continuity. It was never meant to be canon. George Lucas didn't care about it. I'm going, what? Because I've been reading articles. I've been on StarWars.com. I knew none of this was true. I was like, have these guys even looked at, done any research on this? That's when I started doing videos because I was like, this is so dumb. I'd write in the comments of a lot of those old videos, a lot of those old articles. I'd write in the comments, talk about how, how wrong they were. But you didn't see people like that. So that's good that there are people now who are saying, hey, look, man, this is wrong. You don't have your facts straight. That shows me there's more educated people out there than there were when I first started. So that's great.
No, it's nice. It's definitely a huge change. And the great thing too is I can tell, partially because I know some of the people doing it, it's really, really nice. There's a lot of folks that, you might sort of call like the sort of the next generation of folks, like the younger folks, right, that are doing this too. So there is an army. There's an army of a swelling young generation of people who are looking just to sort of go to war every day against this sort of nonsense, right? So that's really nice. So we definitely have the facts on our side and the numbers and the passion and the knowledge and the confidence, right, to push back. So hopefully that sort of the tide's turning. But yeah, it's interesting you say that, Matt, about you making those comments back in the day. That's one thing I remember around 2014 or so. Back when, if you like say on YouTube, Googled expand the universe, what you primarily found were just a bunch of like geek channels that were commenting on the decanonization, basically throwing their hands at being like, yeah, I guess this makes sense, right? And I remember in so many of them, you were there to say, hey guys, what gives? You know what I mean? Why are you giving up so easy? And that was really helpful. I mean, you really were the one voice there, at least on that platform. And I remember that.
I was talking on every video. Yeah. Every video, you'll see a comment about me going, nope, wrong. Or why would you do this? Don't give up. What are you saying? You loved it, but you're just going to wave the white flag. I was like, come on, guys.
Right. And no one else was really pushing back. Yeah.
This is true. Yeah. They most have, surface level. They only read Zahn's books and that was it. And then you've had a lot of people bemoaning it like, well, if they'd have kept the Thrawn trilogy, I'd have been happy. Then get rid of everything but the Thrawn trilogy and I'd be happy. Yeah, because you didn't read anything else but the Thrawn trilogy. So anyway, though, but it does make me feel good that more people are tuning into that and, they're smarter than to accept an article like that. And usually when I see an article like that, I just roll my eyes and go, here we go again. But that one was just so egregious. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's so awful. So awful. I almost hopped out of my convertible and told them off. I almost did that, Chris. Because that's what we do. Chris and I, if you don't know, are warriors. Warriors. That's what we are. Trying to defend we're having an EU community watch. We have the signs posted on our doors. Not on my watch. I forgot to say in that video, well, John, I have the receipts. That's what we do now. We say, I have the receipts. Just, you have the facts.
Yeah.
I have the receipts. That's the mic drop moment for everyone nowadays. I mean, it's always some new saying, right? Is cringe still a thing? That's so cringe. Do people still say that? Is that still a thing?
I wouldn't know.
I forgot.
Well, we alluded to this, that Dylan and I, in this most recent video about one of the things I think was so helpful after 2014 was just as a fandom, as a movement, for EU fans, just to start establishing the facts about the EU and Star Wars pre-2014. And I think you know, you obviously played a critical role in that, and sort of gathering the quotes and the articles in defense of, and the fact that those are now so readily available, and really so almost like they're so well internalized in so many fans' minds. Everyone knows some of these defenses, these quotes and things like that. Most of us know now by heart, right? We've got the citations down. It's great. We're like walking, you know, encyclopedias about this. It's so helpful because it's. I think it's what's made it really easy for literally everyone to come out the gate against these clowns. It's been really, you know, so you can sort of see that bearing fruit.
Yeah.
But again, just establishing the basic facts. It was so necessary back in 2014 in the wake of the onslaught from new canon shills and stuff. And it's just weird. There's a weird resurgence of it right now, and it makes me wonder why that's happening. Maybe they feel like maybe our side really is finally sort of like regaining some sort of like, you know, cultural momentum, right? But again, but now what's so different is it's so cool. All we have to do is just point to the laundry list of any, you know, it's like pick a quote, you know, pick a quote out of my hat, you know, and any one of them will beat you. So
yeah, when we designed the website together, one of the things we wanted was a book of quotes,
right?
so that everyone could have it. One of my favorite things, I saw someone showed me, I don't know, maybe a Reddit chat or whatever. Can anyone prove to me why the EU was canon? And don't give me another video link to Matt Wilkins. So that was really funny because all you people do is quote Matt Wilkins. No, they're quoting the facts,
right?
Not me. They're quoting the facts. Chris, question for you: what made you jump into the EU?
It sounds like it's kind of a boring thing. I've said this a number of videos. I don't ever remember a time when I wasn't an EU fan. I think by virtue of just being a Star Wars fan my entire life, I just, for whatever reason, pretty early on, you know, saw the movies when they, you know, as a, you know, pretty young person, and just clued into like whatever came next was just the next part of the story, right? So whether it was like the cartoons or the Ewoks movies or the early Del Rey books, you know, the Lando and all, I mean, just whatever that stuff was, it just, for me, it was just the next part of Star Wars. So I don't know, the idea that there was even this thing called the expanded universe was kind of like novel to me, because for me, it was just the next bit of Star Wars. Again, nothing too exciting, but again, I really can't remember a time when I wasn't a Star Wars /EU fan. So that makes sense.
Exactly. So there you have it. Hopefully that answered the question. For me, the question is pretty simple. Let me go ahead. Hold on. I have it. Where is it? There it is. I pull this up and give you the reason that. Oh wait, is that it? Yeah. This will be fine. I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, come on, old man. Let me get to this. This is the part. It was so hard for me to share my screen and do that earlier. But obviously, the real reason that everyone should get into it is Christine Catherine Rush. Just look at this lady. Look at the then, back then, and just look at the now. Still beautiful.
She has that kind of now she has kind of that mousy kind of academic librarian, you know, like she's gonna yell at you if you're too loud in bed or something like that. But you know,
oh yeah, look, those eyes say I still got energy. I'm still good. This is what you oogle when you're Star Wars fan, folks. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful lady.
But look up what's her name, Whitney Robinson or whatever. Look up Ruins of Dantooine.
Yeah, Ruins of Dantooine. That's another one. Here's
what's
something
her name, Veronica or something. I forget. Why can't I remember?
The women of the I don't know. Hold on. It's funny because I was thinking about her.
By the way, just having had this conversation, there's going to be a Bounty in the Comics article about how misogynistic we are, right?
I can't wait. I mean, just this. I mean, obviously, when you start pining over 60-year-old women, you know, you've got a problem. What's her name? Hold on, it's coming up. Veronica Whitney Robinson. Here we go.
Yeah.
There's not much on her. All right, so here we go. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen on this one. This is what everyone really wanted to see, was the hot writers of Star Wars. There she is. There's a picture of her. That's like glamour shots. All. I don't know if these are updated pictures. I don't know. Would she be the person in the middle? I don't know. Maybe that's a different. Looks like she did a lot of. She did Forgotten Realms. Huh. Not much. What's Vonda M. McIntyre doing? I mean, looking like. I don't remember anymore.
Well, unfortunately, she's dead now, so I don't.
Oh, she's dead now. Yes, there she is. Yeah. Well, you take some.
More of an intellectual attraction than yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, fits the book. All right, so
let's be fair, so we don't get attacked. I mean, this may be a little awkward for us, but who are the most attractive male authors? Let's just so just in case Bounding into Comics is watching.
Yeah, we got to be equal opportunity here. Let me see what Martha Veach was, by the way. Look at these pictures. These are nice pictures. Hold on. There we go. Look at them.
I love, by the way, and I'm not the first to point this out. I think Scott told me about this, that there's been this discussion for a while now about how Tom Veach looks like an old Post Malone. Looks exactly like Post Malone.
Wow. Look at that. Oh man, mercy me. Mercy me. But oh, there you go. Right, yeah. Good looking sack of man. Ryder Wenham. John Whitman. Oh, there you go. And I don't care what you say, Dave Wolferton. Gentleman's gentleman. So yeah, there's a few. You want to see old Ryder? Let's see if I can look him up. Wow, this stream took a turn.
No kidding, and all because of me. I'm sorry.
Well, you started mentioning those. No, I did it. I was the Christine Catherine Rush.
I'm the one that took it to men for some reason, though.
There you go. Look at that firm jaw.
Yep.
What's Brian Daly look like? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, he had the 80s. Mm-hmm. Bill Bixby look.
Yeah, that's right.
L. Neil Smith wasn't probably. Oh no, never mind. Here he is. That's the guy who hit it big. He looks like that actor from Reservoir Dogs. I can't think of his name. Yeah.
Salvatore.
This is the uncle you didn't want to piss off.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'd say L. Neil Smith is definitely
commanding man. By the way, I will say that no one wrote the Millennium Falcon better. He made it feel like the fastest hunk of junk. He made it feel like the old car that just can get the juice, that you have to tap a little bit. You have to do certain things to. When Lando's blazing away at the guns, the lights dim in the Millennium Falcon for a little bit because the battery's getting worn, overused. I love the little subtleties he puts in about the Falcon. Lando sits up and hits that switch that's on the top of the Falcon. Goes, who puts a blasted switch up there? I was like, yeah, that's not very. That's not a very. What's it called? Not a good place to. Oh, okay. Not a good place to put that. I tried to get guys. Brian Borg was commenting earlier. I tried to get him to join, but he is indisposed at the time. And I tried to get Dylan to come, but he's ignoring all my texts. So either that or he changed his number and didn't tell me, which is probably more the case. By the way, there is a rumor, Chris, that Dylan, even though he doesn't have his own YouTube channel, he does have an OnlyFans channel. And I'm just going to say it's Dylan. It's an evening with Dylan on the piss couch.
Oh, my God.
Candle lights. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, I am a member of Dylan's OnlyFans, if you want to know. So there you have it. Hey, Next question I got for you. Everyone wants to talk about light cider.
I've never heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the last week or so has obviously been incredibly exciting, right? So again, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, we can finally, very publicly admit that we've had it for years. It was one of those things that I think over the last like several months or so, it was one of those things that like everyone just sort of assumed we had, and then somehow people started to know, but I still didn't really want to confirm. Joe has released it.
Yeah.
I think he initially released it to his Discord members. Of course, it's leaked everywhere. It's on Reddit for anyone who wants it. Just Google it. It's everywhere. Now, one thing, Matt, I wanted to ask you about is because I'm not in that. I'm just not on Discord, so I didn't get it from Joe that way. But I think the version that he put out. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a slightly updated version that I think sort of like Heart of the Jedi. He sort of tweaked the sort of. Is that not right, or is it the 97 version?
1997 rough draft.
Okay. Which is the version that we have. That's the version that we've had for all this time. No?
We look at yours. We have the 2008 revised edition.
Well, that's interesting because I have had for years a digital copy that on the first page says something like draft such and such 1997.
Okay.
See,
maybe you do have a draft version.
That's what's interesting. There's several versions
let me
out there.
Here, keep talking. I will go get my copy and show you where it says 2008 revised. Here we go. Because I was looking this over with someone, and it says right here. I don't know if everyone can read that.
Right.
There it is.
That's the version that got put together a couple of years ago, right? That was circulating, right?
Back in 2008, that was circulating years later. Yeah.
And show me the first couple of pages. So show me.
Oh, I mean, the story of light cider.
Right, and then go to is there anything in there that has information about, so does it just, after that, does it just jump right into the first chapter?
No, a little note, editor's note.
Okay.
And then chapter 1.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I've got a couple of different editions. Like I said, I have a digital edition. And so let me clarify something. There's also been this sort of like, there's been this mystery about a video I did a couple of years ago, and I can finally sort of directly answer it now that Joe has put this out. So again, there is this book that many have, right? That you've got, right? This was put together and it's the updated version. So I'm presuming that the digital file that Joe released is basically this, something like this, right? Which is able to sort of incorporate, some content from the prequels to bring it along continuity. I additionally have a digital version, and I've had a digital version for years, that I actually believe is the 1997 version. So I think I actually have the pure Tom Veitch pre-prequels 97 version. And the reason why this connects to a mystery about my old videos is, remember the sad video when I had the flood in my basement?
Yes.
One of the things people can see in there, if they're looking for it, is a printout of the 97 digital version I have. I think, but what I haven't done yet is sort of just like an A/B comparison of the text. I haven't bothered to do that yet. But if people have asked me about that video before, they've seen something, particularly now in the light of the light cider coming out, they recognize part of the cover. So that's what that is. It's a printout of a digital version I've had for years. So anyway.
Wow. So someone has asked me to take pictures of all mine to kind of give them an idea of what my version looks like. I can't scan it, so I have to take sloppy pictures, but maybe they're just trying to make their own. Look at this. Howdy from Joe's editorial team. Great to see you guys again. I think the 2008 edition of what Joe has on his bookshelf. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah. What's up, Patrick? It's good to see you again. Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, can you give us an update on how things are going? I know orders, I mean, addresses were sent out to be verified, emails sent to be verified. How is it looking on the editorial team? And Patrick, shoot, Patrick, if you can email me at contact@theexpandeduniverse, I'll bring you on the chat right now. I'd love to get an update on that. I'd love to hear about how the Hungarian Han Solo translations are going. Because like Chris, I do have well, Chris, you have Discord. You just don't get on it, right?
No, I deleted it again. I'm
Okay, you deleted it. Okay, I should delete mine because I never get on it anymore. Someone tried to invite me on their Discord, and I was like, well, here's the deal. I hate Discord. So Patrick, if you'd like to come on, I'd love to have you on to discuss. But go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say I had this huge breakthrough recently where I realized, because I'm about to have 2 more kids, and
I know. When is it? Hey, when is that date, by the way? That's coming up, huh?
January, early January. Yeah. So this is the end game here, right? So what
I know.
But I kind of realized, like, as I'm trying to, like, sort of, get my sort of affairs in order before, like, everything goes crazy. I was kind of realizing that in a funny way, like I was, I don't know how to put this, like, being on Discord and a couple of these social media outlets and stuff, it was like having another kid already, in the sense that you had to, like, it took time, it divided your attention, you had to sort of nurture it, cultivate it, your sort of persona and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh God, what a waste of time. So I kind of just, I kind of just ghosted on everyone on some of those things, but I think it's for the best. But in any event, and by the way, it's really funny that Patrick, it's really good to see you. The last time, obviously, the 3 of us chatted, we were talking about Wikipedia, and I noticed that the last day or 2, there's been some more Wikipedia drama. I don't know the half of it, but I just think it's so interesting. They're sort of continuing to kind of make some decisions that are. This doesn't have to do with, like, editing EU content. It has more to do with sort of administrative side of things, but they're doing more things to sort of basically alienate themselves in the fandom.
Yeah, no, exactly. Again, Patrick, go to our theexpandeduniverse.com website, shoot me an email. I'd love to have you on if you want to discuss it. If you don't, that's fine, but that's going to be very exciting. We can talk about how excited we are to get that. I know I am. I was happy to see you got the email too, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe it, especially after all this time thinking, okay, and by the way, if Joe needed 15 more years, I'd be fine with that. But I remember thinking, at this point, it's not going to happen this year. And then there was the email.
And then hope springs eternal in our heart. Awesome. It's The Expanded Universe. No, contact at theexpandeduniverse.com. I'm staying on top of it. So just let me know.
Matt, something just dawned on me, sort of apropos of that thing.
No, go ahead.
With the book effectively being sort of done and about to be, in essence, released, I actually think it's worth compiling the facts about the book, its canonicity, its license commission, before this all happens, because we're going to get the onslaught again of people. I just think in the same way that we have this for the EU in general, we need just cool, calm, detached list of the arguments, the quotes and things like that. They could put them on the website. I think that would be super helpful.
Has its own tab?
Or anything. I mean, yeah, it could even go on that. It could even go on the quotes tab. It's just a further sort of misconception, supernatural partners is not canon, right?
Because we have a few misconceptions there already. Yeah, that should be added. You're exactly right. Probably just ask Dylan with that, right?
Yeah, get him just to watch that video, that great video you made about it. Just sort of pull out the arguments, you know what I mean? And then
pull the arguments and everything and just put it in there. I think that's a great idea to do. That, and I also thought there's some other, because that Dark Empire quote of Tom Veach talking about his collaboration with George and whatnot, we should probably put a little bit more of that in there too. Update that quotes bank. I think the last one was from the Star Wars Collector, the one that you showed me.
Right.
Which was really good, But that's what I meant to do is start putting in some of those extra quotes and whatnot. Maybe again, task Dylan to start doing that if he would. Get all this in here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. By the way, how is your missus feeling?
Horrible.
It's
This is horrible. Yeah.
it's boiling out.
Even,
It's not going to be a fun Christmas.
no, it's not. And, particularly, and I'm sure Megan was the same way. It's like going in, doing this the second time with twins, where it's like, what you're in for, right? And it's really scary because at this point, I mean, again, it's several months away effectively, and yet she looks like she's about to pop, right? So people look at her and they go, are you on the way to the ER? Because you look like you're, 10 months pregnant. And she's like, no, it's twins. Yeah. So now it's at the point where like, it's pretty hard for her to walk even. Like, I mean, it's just getting real. Yeah.
Right.
So it's tough.
Oh, I bet. No doubt. Megan was distracted with, we didn't celebrate Halloween that well. We didn't decorate around the house because she didn't feel up to it. We did decorate Christmas because she wanted to decorate Christmas. It was our first Christmas in the house. And actually, in a couple of weeks, marks our first year anniversary to be here.
Oh, wow.
In the house. And but she was busy unpacking. We were busy unpacking. We were trying to get everything unpacked before she had the babies because we knew the world would stop, and that was all that was going to happen. And we're back to getting zero sleep, and just my oldest set of twins is 3. When they turned 3, or was it no? When they turned 2, they started sleeping through the night. So we were very fortunate to start sleeping through the night, and we got a little spoiled for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
But God said, "Okay, here's round 2." And
wow.
You're going 2 for 2 too, 2 for 2 for 2 as well. And I'm so happy that someone else is going to feel my pain starting in January.
It's a pretty unique club of people out there, right? That are like double twins and stuff. And it's
I know. Are you going to name them Luke and Leia, Jason, Jana, Han and
really
Chewie?
Good. It's funny with our first kid because we have like the older, singleton, and my wife was surprisingly open to Star Wars names, and I've noticed actually
Mine was too.
She's even like come around. She's actually like on her own volition come to me about Mara. That's on the short list, which I think would be really cool.
Wow.
But the interesting thing is we don't know the gender, so it's really hard to say. I don't know what so it's maybe they'll be girls again. We'll call them the Tonica sisters. We'll see, or what.
That's great. Bullocks and Blue Max.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's tons of names you can use for that. Yes, Alex. January babies. So.
January babies, yeah, and it probably means that honestly, like realistically, Christmas is going to be pretty lame this year.
Yeah. Oh no, we lost Chris. Chris is down. What happened? He died on me. Hopefully he'll come right back. I haven't gotten the. There he is. You Bilbo Baggins me, sir. You slipped on the ring and disappeared from the stream.
Sorry about that. I thought my wife was about to go into labor. I had to run.
And the drop of a hat, he's there, sir. He's there. Yeah, man down.
It's crazy though. Going back to something you said about like, you had that kind of that for a good year, you guys were, you were doing it, you'd figured it out. The girls were sleeping, everything, right? It's so crazy with us. Like we really thought we were done. In fact, the amazing thing with us, not to get too personal here, is like, like our first 3 kids were all IVF, right? Because we were flat out told we would never get pregnant. And so once we'd gone through that, we were like, well, we're done, right? Our youngest are like 2 years old, about to turn 3 this year. And it's like, great, we're good. And we finally got rid of all of our baby stuff completely. Finally starting to make like big adult plans about what are we going to do. You know what I mean?
Planning for the future now.
Oh yeah. We booked this big like road trip. We were going to like travel all across the country in January and stuff like that. And then the miracle of miracles is that we got pregnant naturally, something that we were told we couldn't do. And then with twins to boot. So it was like, holy cow. So anyway, it's like, we went from this like thinking, yeah, we finally adapted. Like we get this. We think we can figure this out. And now it's like, oh my gosh, the absolute last thing you would expect to happen to us has happened. And it's like, and I told my wife, it's like basically like we have to practically become like different people. We have to. I mean, this house is going to get turned into like practically like a military boot camp. It's just there's no other way of getting things done around here. So it's yeah, I don't know, man. That's another reason why I got off Discord. I'm like, I don't have time. I don't have time.
Yeah, I know. I don't have time for it. I don't make the time. I wouldn't want to do the time. And I'm just out of time. But I will tell you this. I did read Sword of the Jedi Remembrance.
Oh, yes.
The fan fiction. Someone had sent me these because they heard that I just can't do the online reading thing. And that was really nice. And Noah Spencer Crilly from Star Wars Library and Jeremy, if he finishes it in time, he's the only one who hasn't finished it. We're going to review it, give our thoughts on it, probably do all three. So we'll be reviewing some fan fiction. Only because, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Finally did it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm telling Chris to let him know.
Yeah, I'm glad you're going to read my book finally. I appreciate you. Yeah, I know there's that. Yeah, Arthur, who I think might have sent you some of those, sent me there's like a paperback version with a different cover, which is really cool. But I also have that one that you just showed too. There's a lot of really great covers for those books in different sizes, you know, and it's really neat. It's funny, you know, and it dawned on me, this is something I think for like one of these videos that Dylan and I are going to do or something, we can't forget to talk about this Hand of Thrawn thing. This is something that people have been talking about since way back in the day. Yeah, I mean, I remember I scanned the earliest version of it whenever it came online years ago, but it's like there's like something happening now. There's really this new momentum behind it, which is really interesting. And ultimately, I think connects with a really important point that Joe has made for years now, which is that, look, to some extent, and I don't think we're here yet, and I'm not even necessarily saying that like the Hand of Thrawn stuff is the thing to do this with, but it's like at some point, yes, for years, Lucasfilm was the thing that we looked to sort of determine canonicity. But ultimately, at some point, canonicity is a bigger idea than just a company. It ultimately comes down to what we, the fans, think, right? And so to some degree, and Joe's always made this point, it's like, at some level, particularly in the face of Lucasfilm not giving us what we want, more EU to some degree, it's not even a plan B thing as much as it's like, we're the ones who decide. We, the fans, are the ones who ultimately decide what is in our canon, right? You know, and so it's interesting that you can kind of see this spontaneously sort of happening with, say, something like sort of the Jedi, where it's like, yeah, there's enough people that now sort of start. So it's an interesting.
Fans are looking elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, that is very interesting. Very interesting. He also gave me Hour of Judgment too, which I'll read. I'm not going to force it on the other guys if they don't want. If they want to stop, they can. But I'll read it since he gave it to me, and just kind of look over it and see. And I mean, yeah, that may be the way to do things now. But for me, I still hold to the fact that if you don't have a name behind it, like a recognizable name, like, I mean, Chris Nelson, I mean, Gregory O. Scott isn't going to sell this book to everyone, right? Because it's an unknown name. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it would have to be, I don't know, but Escape from Dagu or something, you know, but you lost your copy in the flood, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I lost that. I had a couple of chapters of Blood Oath. I actually had the outline for the Nightfall trilogy. I had the
entire Nightfall.
Yeah. I had Crimson Empire 4. It was all gone though. It all got washed away.
Yes, I remember that. We're just trolling everyone right now. Patrick, welcome.
Oh, I knew you didn't have Escape from Dagu.
It's always a rib.
Good to see you guys.
For someone who has read Escape from Dagu and has a copy physically in their hands right now, how are you doing?
It's next to me. It's on my hands.
So how's it going? We're excited about Supernatural Encounters.
Yes, I am too. I maybe went out drinking when I completely officially finished my editing duties last Monday. But Kyle, I mentioned earlier in the chat here, Kyle has been an absolute beast. He has, I guesstimated, I put about 2,000 hours into it, and that's kind of rounding up. He's put about 6,000 to 7,000 hours of editing. He's read through the entire 1,000-page tome at least 6 times that I know of. So.
Yeah, he's a beast, and he's not done.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Even afterwards, folks, we have many surprises for you. And Kyle, you're going to know Kyle's name. I'll just tell you that.
For sure.
You're going to know Kyle's name. But no,
yeah,
I really appreciate all the hard work that's gotten into it. And people just don't understand. This has been combed over by super fans to make sure that everything is done correctly. And it's going to be something that I am positive is going to deliver on every level to every fan. Would you say that, Patrick?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's definitely a deep cut. So there's people who probably won't like it on the surface and be like, oh, what's this academic debate about right at the beginning? But I think even those people will like all the juicy Sith lore and kind of figuring out this is deeper cut as well, but just kind of how much supernatural encounters has been referenced in the expanded universe over the years and a little bit in the Disney canon. So,
okay, this is a question for you. When is it out?
I don't want to preempt any announcements by Joe, but I will say that the manuscript, he sent out his final copy of the manuscript about 2 weeks ago. And I believe Kyle finished his copy edits on that. So it's pretty much done. It's just kind of the logistics of, getting the physical,
getting the copies, getting them sent out, and everything.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna be the one to put a date to it, but I'm, not tomorrow.
I think you should put Joe under the bus. Tell him if it's not out by next week, there'll be blood right in the streets.
All right. January 2024.
Oh, boo.
Now you can only be pleasantly surprised.
What is this? Got a question. What is you and the others on the stream today? What is your thoughts about sand? What is sand?
It gets everywhere.
Oh, there you go.
It gets everywhere. Yeah.
Chris, what do you prefer? Clone Wars by Filoni or Lucas or 2003 micro series by Jindy?
I'm going to let him guess.
All right. There you go. You let him guess.
It's the micro series.
Yes. Patrick, you may or may not know about this, but the what was it? Hungarian Han Solo translations.
Yeah.
How those are coming along?
Last I saw, one of them is just about done, but it could be, I don't want to misquote anybody or put anybody in a tight spot. But last I saw, I believe was going to be, they're guesstimating about 2 years to have, there's 4 books, correct?
Yeah.
To have, I think all of it said and done, they're thinking about 2 years. But I think one of them is
either
done or close to. Okay. Yeah.
One of them's complete. One is, I think, getting worked on. I think that guy took a break. But boy, I God bless him for translating it because it's been great so far.
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, that's one of those
things. Someone asked, in Tales of the Galaxy, I kept my 2 little fanfics I wrote. And of course, I did another one called Return to Endor, which I'll probably never pick up. Even though I did find it again, I lost it again, but I found it. I still don't know where it is, but I did find it recently. So maybe back in the old attic there. Chris, do you have thoughts on the new Mara Jade figures?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, the short answer is no, and I don't have any particularly interesting thoughts. I saw that they're there. I saw there's a number of EU figures that we're getting. I need to look into a little more. I think some of the Old Republic figures we're getting appear to be slightly sort of different. It makes me wonder if they're going to be, if they're meant to look like the versions of the characters that we're going to see in the eventual KOTOR remake. so that's kind of a side topic. But the Mara Jade figure, I'm always excited to see her. It's interesting that we're finally, after all these years, getting a character like that, particularly after all the battles we had a number of years ago with like trying to get a Ben Skywalker figure and things like that. Sorry, yeah, Ben Skywalker. So I don't know. In general, I'm excited.
I pre-ordered, let's see, Bastila Malak and Mara.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Still looking for a Ben Skywalker though. But...
still looking for an Anakin Solo. I feel you.
I think, Scott, those would be its own omnibus copy. But yeah, I'd definitely like to make one.
Can I ask a question to Patrick? I'm not to change the subject, but Patrick, are you involved in the Legends Con thing that's been getting out there this week, or what's going on with
you're
that?
good. Yeah. Yes, I am. So
what is this again?
It's a Legends just fan run convention, shooting for fall 2023. I will say we have a venue lined up. We have dates picked out, but we do not want to announce them until everything is final.
Where would it be held at?
It's going to be in the San Diego area. Could be closer to LA, Pasadena. We're keeping our options open, but there's one venue we're basically finalizing things with, but
is there
not to announce anything on that front?
Yeah, and I can understand that. I mean, can you speak abstractly of like, is there any? You might not even have any sort of like things lined up, but I mean, is there a sense that it's going to be like panel based? Is it going to be like exhibition based? Is it going to be just a gathering? Do you have any sense of like ideally like what some of the aims are?
Yeah. Did you have a follow up on that, Matt?
No. I'm asking the same question. It's like, yeah. What are your hopes, expectations?
So we put together a kind of a wish list of like our top 10 authors, creators that we would get out there, just kind of amongst us that are, involved in setting it up. And so I can tell you, like, Mike Stackpole's up there, Judy Blundell from, Jedi Apprentice novels and such. She's top of the list. Matt Stover, if we can hopefully, pay to get him out there. And then, some artists like Joe Corney, we'd love to get there. Love to have Joe Bongiorno there. So we're just starting to put our feelers out and contact people. We want to make sure we have the venue secured before we make those overtures. Right. And we're also going to have, like an artist alley. A couple of the people involved are very big in the costume club communities. And so there's going to be huge cosplayer presence, as well as like lightsaber performances, reenacting like expanded universe duels and stuff like that.
Wow, that's interesting.
Patrick, what's her last name if it's public? Catherine something. And she's like a major costumer, right? And she does like Mara. Yeah. I've interacted with her briefly on Discord, like maybe a couple of years ago, and she's really phenomenal.
Yes.
I saw that she's involved.
Christine Catherine Rush.
No.
You said?
Catherine, I think, do we put last names up? I think we did. Sorry.
I mean, she's a cosplayer, so obviously her name's out there.
Yeah.
She's involved in like costuming charities, like 501st style type of events, very EU focused, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, her Twitter handle is Martian Mara, and without doxing anybody, she has.
Right. I'll dox.
It's a very fitting name as far as where she works. So the reason
I mentioned, oh, that's right. Okay, exactly. People will get that if they see her Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about it is, again, like she won't remember me, but like a couple of years ago, she wrote to, I think, the Discord for theexpandeduniverse.com, wanted to write some stuff. I don't know if that ever came to fruition, but she's clearly, a very interesting, very insightful, and is a real doer. I mean, she's done a lot of stuff already, again, out there in like kind of the costume community. I think she's done some shuttle work too, sort of through the, exploiting sort of her like Mara costume and stuff like that in connection to the movie. What's so interesting though, because is that there's been this long history since 2014 of trying to get like a fan EU focused convention off the ground, and it hasn't worked for a variety of reasons. It's interesting. I know that I've heard about this for a little while. I've just seen this week more people talk about it now, so that's really exciting. So I hope it happens. What's so unfortunate though is it seems like in early 2014, where some of these conversations were happening, was back at a time when it was like sort of our little community was a little bit smaller, was sort of more focused on like a couple of main social media platforms. We're so dispersed now that I kind of worry that like I kind of heard about this accidentally. So please, by all means, like, because at this point, there's so many little pockets of EU folks, right? You know, and communities and because it's like you could be a EU costumer, you could be an EU, like,
Right.
it's funny, like you and Kyle, you're part of a community of like EU editors now, right? You know what I mean? To some degree.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Matt and I are like EU YouTubers or whatever. So
yeah,
please, by all means, like reach out to us. We'd love to spread the word. I just want to make sure that like all these overlapping communities hear about it. Cause yeah.
So we did like go public or whatever this week. I think officially Tuesday, Wednesday. And so, I mean, you're, right there. Like you heard pretty much the second it was out there then. I'm not big on social media personally. But like, I am supposed to be spreading it and sharing it and all that. And I haven't been, so I need to step it up, but I'm the software engineer coder gremlin kind of behind the scenes. So yeah, so I'm not out there cosplaying and taking photos and all that stuff. But yeah, I super appreciate that. And I definitely love if you guys could signal boost, and I'll definitely pass information as we get more. And we've got our social media channels getting underway here as well. Yeah.
That's exciting. That is exciting to hear. And folks, I think I did find a picture of the cosplayer in question. I'm gonna pull this up. There she is. So
don't think that's
is
that the author?
Catherine. Yeah.
Christine Catherine Rush is her name. She's gorgeous. All right, so there you go.
Yeah. So
all right, so San Diego was picked because you think that can attract the most people?
Here, I'll turn my camera on here. Sorry. Okay, there we go.
Oh,
right there.
Whoa.
Yeah. So
look at this guy.
So we deliberated a lot about where we were going to hold the convention. So I'm based in Oregon. So is our event coordinator. So we seriously considered Oregon for a while, but obviously it's mostly just a little too small, and Portland's got a lot of issues right now, so it's not the best place to visit. But the costume clubs, anybody who's done like voice work or anything like that we want to bring, a lot of people are based in the LA area, and so that ended up being a great place. And so not just Catherine, but we're hoping to bring in another guy in the costume clubs, Bill, and then we've got like just multiple people involved, I think, in California. So we have Punch It Chewy Press, and they they do like graphics and just have like an online shop for like graphic design, like really, really cool stuff. And so they made the logo for us. And they're also based in San Diego. Sotorista, if anyone's familiar with her, she's like probably the biggest the Old Republic YouTuber, and she's involved. Sure. She's actually got the current version of the website up, and it's like my job to do the final version of the website, and waiting until I'm like done with supernatural encounters stuff. So get that going. But yes, we got a lot of people, and a lot of people are based in that area.
Slightly tempted to go out there.
You should.
Punch It Chewy Press, Matt. I don't know if you know them, but they make these really, really, really cool EU pins and things like that. Like really, really neat deep cut stuff.
Punch It Chewy Press.
Yeah.
All right. Oh my. Let's
I have to admit,
take a look through this website.
Take a look. I have to admit, almost like a slight jealousy in some sense of only having heard about planning for something like this in some sense after there's already a team to put something together.
Oh yeah.
But
love to pull you in, man.
Oh no, by all means. But the larger reason I make that point is because I'm so fascinated just by sort of like the sociology of just fandoms, communities, movements, right? If you consider this like a movement for the EU or Legends, whatever, right? Just Star Wars. It's so interesting just where we are in our social media landscape. Again, it's so dispersed. There's so many platforms. Everyone is their own Discord platform now, things like that. It's so interesting now. It's funny, you've mentioned so many people, Punch It Chewy, Catherine. It's like who I know, but I haven't heard about this until there's already something somewhat tangible. It's more just, there's no takeaways. It's more an observation. It's fascinating the way this group of EU fans, it's so dispersed. It's almost miraculous that we're getting kind of pulled together in some ways. I think it just goes to show we have to work like extra hard to somehow kind of, it's this weird problem of like, we need to solve the gap of not knowing more about one another, but how do we know enough to know that we don't know? So anyway, it turns out like, it's amazing. Like I've only gotten to know you and Kyle through Joe. Thankfully I know Joe, but I don't know Joe. And so it's like, man, I don't know. It's kind of cool. Like the further we get away from 2014, the more of us there are, but like the further flung we are too. So it's like, so that's in some sense why like this con is such a great idea, but good Lord, it's like, how do we get people to know about it? So that's why I'm like fascinated to sort of like, how do we solve that sociological gap? Right. So whatever, I'll stop talking.
No, you're good. And we are expecting the first year to be smaller. We just want to make sure it happens.
Man, I would, I'm definitely interested in that, because if I did not have 4 kids 3 and under, I'd definitely be there in a heartbeat. But I still want to go. I still think that sounds like a lot of fun. Plus, I mean, if Joe gets there, then mean, I'm just going to be like a little, puppy dog, just all around it the whole time, not wanting to go away. But where are we going to go eat now? Okay. Where are you sleeping? Okay, I'll sleep on the floor.
You know, I'm hoping to make it back out to visit Kyle and Joe sometime early next year. So I'd be down. I don't know how far away you are from those guys, but we can all meet up.
Oh man, yeah, I'm pretty far. I'm in Louisiana, but
okay.
Like if this thing was in Dallas, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
Well, we'll see about rotating locations. We had to start a California LLC for this.
I understand that. I understand that. Got to give Cali their love.
Can I get into? Sorry to have all these. I feel like I'm like interrogating you, but I'm just again. I guess like is like a self-described like quasi historian of just the EU fandom. I'm fascinated about this. So, the LLC you've created, is this connected to the Praxium? How does this relate to Praxium Conclave? Are these all connected? Are they different versions, splinter group? How does this all connect to that?
We split off from Praxium. We just had more like mostly business differences in how we thought it needed to be done. And so with any luck, there will be 2 conventions 2023. I'm like, it's conflict of interest for me to know anything about any like planning Praxium is doing at this point. So they could still be doing something. I think originally when I was still helping with that, it was October 2023 in Baltimore. I've heard it might also be in December. So I'm not sure if that's still happening.
Oh, interesting.
And if it would also be, and so we would be a little earlier in the year, so we're not conflicting with that. But then with any luck, there would be 2 Legends conventions.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting.
Maybe you don't want to get into this now. Is Kyle involved with Praxium? I'm just wondering because of the Baltimore location.
No, I mean he was. He pulled me into the Praxium. I made their website, and then when we got to some of the more like serious granular logistics of like, this event needs to happen and we need to secure the venue and pay for it. Basically the step that we're at now. There's a lot of disagreement over how best to proceed. And so like they have a nonprofit, and we went the route of just having an LLC for this. And so, so it ended up, it wasn't the best experience breaking off, unfortunately, but I would love it if they're still able to pull off a convention, and we've got 2 going basically. And then, maybe in future years, like kind of team up or something, but I don't really know what's going on with the Praxium's event at this point. But yeah, I know that, so we've got, have you met Corinthia Warner? So she's a moderator on Joe's Discord. She was the original event coordinator for Praxium, and she's our event coordinator now for this. So so we definitely kind of have our ducks in a row at this point, and we're just kind of like waiting on our timeline's shorter than we would have liked. So we're, like I said, trying to secure that venue. So
people don't realize how much pre-planning has to go into these things.
I definitely did not. I'm glad our event coordinator is very experienced. So yeah.
There you go. It's funny, Chris, because when I think about this, Brian Borg would be perfect if he had the time.
Mm-hmm.
That man can put together anything. He's he's in charge of Twin Sons Foundation. He created that on his own. I mean, just helped build
amazing. Yeah.
From an idea. So, I mean, he's just an amazing guy. A little short on time, but he really is amazing. So, but I mean, my hat's off to you because you're doing way more than I wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah, I've learned this year mostly, kind of the last year and a half, going on 2 years, just how finite my time and energy is. Because, like for Praxium, I set up their website, and it was kind of like doing 3 jobs because usually if you're making a website, it's like, okay, like I'm setting it up, doing all of this, just like the nuts and bolts of it, the engineering side. But I had to do design too. I spent a couple hours like editing a video for it. I made like the Praxium, like a logo for like the top of the website and all that. So it was like graphic design work too. And at the same time, I was trying to keep editing Supernatural Encounters and just like answer kind of like I'm the copywriting nerd, so I'm almost like Star Wars agnostic as far as Supernatural Encounters. But I've got like my Bible's the Chicago Manual of Style 17th edition. So I'm so I was like fielding questions for Joe at the time. I went through a job change, which has been really good. But yeah, and then now I have to make another website. So yeah.
Let me ask the chat. Chat, would you be interested in going to do you have a name for it?
Legends Con.
Legends Con. Would Legends Con interest you? And where would you like to see a Legends Con? What is this? Out of curiosity, how does the whole writing for the expanding? You mean the website? Just send us an email through the website. If you have an article idea, go for it. Let me know. Yeah, X-Ray. Just email us at contact@theexpandeduniverse. Call EUCon. Well, I think Legends Con has a nice ring to it. But that's really cool. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how that develops.
Thank you. Quick sidebar. I've been following some of the chat here. Revan, I like a lot of what you have to say as far as fan animation and all that. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
A lot of, I think, along the same lines there. And
you pay attention to what they say in the chat.
Cinematic captures and Unreal Cinema. Those two specifically I've got on my radar. Yeah, and I definitely would like to learn some more Unreal Engine. And yeah, I think you have some good thoughts there, Revan.
It is. San Diego is what they're looking at. So you can show up there. Oh, there you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
Halfway around the world. That's okay. Oh, look at this. He was just saying that to be nice, Revan. He didn't mean it. I'm kidding. If I could get there by train, that is hilarious. Maybe. Planes, trains, automobiles. Make it happen. What? Yep. EU specific Legends Con. Good idea. Oh, wait, hit the wrong one.
Oh, top 5 favorite EU characters.
Chris, do you have any?
Top 5. I don't have a running top 5. I mean, I always like to point to the more obscure. I always like to go with Platt O'Keefe.
Platt O'Keefe,
Nice.
great one.
Is that Sue Rostany? Is that her in universe? No.
That's West End Games.
Yeah, I think it might have been the Essential Atlas. I think they might have based Platt's illustration off of Sue Rostany.
Oh, no kidding. I've never read that. That's interesting. Well,
I could be wrong about that.
What about yourself, Patrick? Do you have? Oh, I'm sorry, Chris. You had a question.
I was just going to say she's one of those characters who every time you see her, she looks a little different, you know, but that's really funny. So I wonder what the canonical version is. I need to check that out again. Look into that.
Let me see if I can find a picture of what the canonical version of Platt O'Keefe would be.
Well, it's funny. I've said this before. There's one version over on one of the covers, and I forget which one it is. It might just be. It's not the Smothers Guide. It might be one of the other ones, but where she looks to me exactly like Walter White's wife for Breaking Bad, which I think is really weird. Yeah. And to think about her as a smuggler, I think it just makes perfect sense. So, yeah. What about you, Patrick?
Got it. While he's talking, let me. I got that Platt O'Keefe. I'm sorry.
My big three is definitely.
And she looks great. I've never seen a better Platt O'Keefe. I'll give her a smuggling job. There you go. There she is. Just hello. Okay, moving on. Go ahead, Patrick. Answer the question.
Yeah. So yeah, my big three is Anakin Solo, Mara Jade, and Corran Horn, and then I guess I would just fill that with probably a Lagos Claw from iJedi and briefly New Jedi Order. And
you're an iJedi fan, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh. I'm a sucker for Mike Stackpole and Tim Zahn. Thrawn. I'll just be a basic bitch about it and put in Thrawn.
No, that's fine. Thrawn's a good character too. Yeah, we all love iJedi here. But anyway, that's interesting. Well, that's good. Chris, do you have any? Chris, you're just delivering it with the questions today. You're on it.
Oh,
do you have any other questions for Patrick? This is great.
Listen, it's great to hear. I got a lot of questions. I think I'll wait until after we stop recording.
I was going to say, I have some things to say, but it has to wait until after we stop recording too.
I might be able to give you guys some actual dates if we're not on the record.
So yeah, there we go. So folks, you're going to hate us now because now it's going to be off the record stuff that we have to talk about here. But I want to thank Patrick for coming on. Of course, Chris for coming on. Hard to get these guys on. And I'm glad I got to do so many streams in one day. This is like a record for me, but don't expect it for next week or the weeks following. Who knows? I'll try to do more if I can. Also, I guess that's it. You guys have a good evening, and we'll talk to you later.